Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Christine Meerman on the podcast with us. She's an NPC bikini competitor, a nutrition wellness nut. She's a married mom of two, believe it or not. And she's also a Chem MBA real estate junkie. She's a Romania missionary, which is something that we are definitely going to get into. She's also a hunter's wife, but most importantly, she's our current guest. Christine, thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, thanks, Ryan. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what inspired you to adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle?
Well, growing up, I was always into fitness. I played varsity sports in high school. So, really, my varsity softball coach had us start lifting in fourth period. So, I started lifting weights at a pretty young age. I always stayed in the gym, did the basic lifts, squats, and legs. I've always had pretty large legs. In 2012 or so, I got into CrossFit. So I did about 3 years of CrossFit doing competitions and everything else. But I found my body was getting kind of boxy. So with the Olympic lifts, you do a lot of overhead shoulder press, you do a lot of cleans, you do a lot of squats, heavy squats. And I was strong as an ox, but I didn't have that look that I was going for, which was kind of a more feminine, V taper look. So I actually changed from CrossFit and started doing Krav Maga. So for 2 years in 2015 and 2016, I started doing Krav Maga where they had the cardio bag classes and they do like a monkey bar gym, which is kind of a more kettlebell focus. You focus on single arm movements, single leg movements, and then you do some self-defense. That's what Krav Maga is all about. So it's self-defense, which I really like. So living in New Orleans, there's a lot of crime on the streets. So I wanted to make sure if I was ever approached by someone with a knife or with a gun or even just with their bare hands that I was able to come out of it and get myself to a safe state and defend myself. So that's why I got into Krav Maga. The schedules and the times didn't really work out. I was more of a morning worker outer, and they didn't start classes till 6 a.m. So being a full-time employee, full-time mom, that time just didn't work for me. And then in the evenings, I have homework and things with the kids, so those didn't work for me. So I tried to figure out where I was going to fit into the fitness world. So I'd kind of gotten out of CrossFit. Now I've tried Krav Maga, I've gotten out of that. So I actually went to Hawaii with a trip with my mom and a coworker of hers, and she had done a figure competition. She had done really well. I thought she looked really pretty in her bathing suit, and I said, and she kept saying, "You can do this. You can do this. You would be great in bikini. You have a great physique for it. You have mature muscle development," because I had been working out for a long time. So I had muscles, but I had never leaned out. I had never followed a meal plan. I had never hit a diet. So I looked good in my clothes. People thought I looked nice. I had very muscular legs, but I was never lean. I never had that cute, fancy body type that I was going for. And I was approaching 30, right? So this is in 2017, in the spring of 17. Or I am 30. I'm 32 now, either way. So I was approaching 30 or I was 30. So I was looking for something a little different. You kind of go through a little, I don't want to call it a life crisis, but you're 30, you're getting older, So I decided to look into this fitness competition. So I started with a real basic coach, a girl out of Slidell, and I just said, "Hey, give me a meal plan. Let's see if I can follow a meal plan and some workouts. I'm not committed to competing yet, but I want to see if I'm capable of following this. I'll stick to it." So she did. I did 12 weeks and I lost 15 pounds, but my body structure, because what I lost was body fat. I didn't lose muscle because I was still working out. When you lose body fat and maintain your muscle structure, your body goes from a size 4 in regular pants. I went to like a size 0. I mean, I was lean. I was tiny in 12 weeks just by dieting, basically. I was going to the gym. I was working out, but I wasn't doing anything crazy that I had never done before. So when I met her, I did the 12 weeks. I decided I was following all the Instagram girls, the Angelica, the Narman. I was following all the girls that are doing the Instagram stuff. So what I did is I changed my Instagram and made an Instagram completely focused around competing. It was only fitness. I took all my home friends, my school friends, my work friends, left that to Facebook social media. And I made a social media just for me. And it helped me inspire like myself. Because really when you get into the competing world, you're by yourself. So I don't know anyone else in New Orleans that competes. No one. No one, not a single person. There may be some males, but there's no New Orleans bikini girls that are actively pursuing a pro card right now. So there's no one for me to work out with. Also, with my schedule, my workout time is 4:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. because I have to be back home to get the kids up, to get ready for school, to go to work, then to work at 9 to 10 hour day. pick the kids up, do homework, do soccer, do gymnastics, get dinner ready, meal prep, and go to bed. So my workout time is morning. It is not during the day. And that time it's quiet. There's no one in the gym. There's no one bothering you. You're in your world. You're in your zone. You can put forth the effort, and you don't have to talk and have conversations with people. Some people like that, but the type A personality like myself are there to get work done and go. Like we are on a mission, and we are going to accomplish that mission. So I started doing my workout, and I started looking for another coach. So I went with one of the coaches that had all the large bikini girls, Kim Odo, last year. He was fantastic for me, and I did a 12-week plan for him. I cut down, changed my diet, really focused on leaning out my legs. So my legs were big. So he had me stop doing all quad type exercises, leg exercises, and focus obviously on my glute and hamstring tie-ins. Also, my abs were large from doing CrossFit and sit-ups and exercising and things like that. My midsection actually was sticking out further than what it needed to be for bikini. So for bikini, you want to be kind of soft. You want to look feminine. You don't want to have the 6-pack, 8-pack ripped up abs. So I stopped doing ab workouts, and then I started, when I did my workouts, I would just make sure I was contracting my abs to keep my core strong. So that, in 12 weeks, I was able to bring down my legs a lot, and I did my first competition in 2017. I did the Greater Gulf competition here in New Orleans, and I won first in novice, first in my class, and I won second overall. So I didn't win first overall, I got second overall, but that did qualify me to go to nationals. So in 2017, I went to nationals in Pittsburgh, the North Americans. I was happy with my placing for my first year on the stage. Then I decided to go in an off season and just go to the gym, work out, but get off the meal plan, not be so structured. And when I did that, I wound up getting pregnant. You know, the hormones were good, and I got pregnant this spring. And then at about 12 weeks, we lost the baby. So that was April of 2018. And then I was having a really hard time with it. So to have 2 healthy children and to never have lost anything in your life, it was really difficult for me. I'm a strong person. You know, I never thought that there would be any kind of pain. But the only place I found that I was happy and that I could look past all of this was the gym. So I contacted a guy, Ryan Hinton. He was at the Greater Gulf. I had met him there, and then I had also met him at North Americans because he was there, and he's local out of Baton Rouge. So I wanted just a little bit different change up. I wanted someone who was a little bit more focused on me, who I could communicate very easily to and maybe go see, because my other coach was in California, so that was a plane trip to go see him. But this way I could do some check-ins face-to-face, just get a little more one-on-one time. So I went with Ryan, and in July I contacted him. I said, hey, Ryan, I needed something to change. And he's like, oh, the season's coming to an end. You know, we'll probably have you ready for 2019. You'll hit it hard in 2019. And I was like, no, I want it now. You know, that's that instant gratification. That's our day and age, right? We want everything right now. And I said, I'm looking at a calendar. We have one more nationals this year, and it's Miami, and it's in 13 weeks. What do you think we can do in 13 weeks? You can try, you know, but I don't know that you'll be ready. And I'm like, okay. And I'm one of those I meet people that I'm either 125% dedicated or like none at all. So I got my meal plan, got my workouts, and immediately the weight, just kind of like I said last time, that baby fat or whatever it is, because I have mature muscle developed, just flew off. And at 8 weeks in, he was like, oh my goodness, you are going to be ready for Miami. Like, we are going to kill it. Let's go, girl. But I still had some nerves and things. So I hadn't been on stage all year. And I was a little nervous about my posing. So I got a little posing coach. And I also decided to do Southern Muscle. So Southern Muscle, it was a week before Miami. So November 10th, right here in Baton Rouge, a very local show. So I decided to go do that. I did get second in that show, but I learned a lot from it. I got a lot of good feedback from the judges. I had put a post on Instagram of my backside of Baton Rouge and my backside 1 week later in Miami. And it was amazing, the differences in posing and my hair, how I was standing, you know, with my feet. So I just had learned a lot in 1 week. And then I went to nationals and got 6th place. So first call outs at nationals. I didn't get in the top 5, but I was in the top 10. So I was very proud of myself. And I'm coming in 2019 and I'm going to hit it hard. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's such an inspiring story. And one of the big myths and misconceptions that I love to bust on the show is that It's gotten a lot better, especially with Instagram the last 5 years, but a lot of women still have that fear where if they touch one weight, they're just going to hulk out and put on, 50 pounds of muscle overnight. Did you ever struggle with that fear at all? And even if you have not, I bet you probably hear that all the time. What is your main response to that?
Yeah, I would tell people I wish it was that easy
Yep.
because the bikini division now is getting a little bit more muscular,
Mhm.
so people are really working hard to get that muscle
Mhm.
definition. But I tell people all the time that that's all about the diet. That there's supplements that you could take to get bulky like that if that
Mhm.
would be your goal. But typical general population person working out in the gym, you're never going to develop that kind of muscle definition by doing. Most people are doing high volume, low weight. They're not really doing a build. So you'd really have to eat a lot. You have to be at a
Mhm.
macro calorie surplus
Mhm.
in order to build muscle, which most women aren't comfortable going to that level
Mhm.
and getting in a calorie surplus. You have to be in a calorie surplus and you have to be doing some heavy, heavy weight, maybe some lower volume, but really pressing up the weight to build that muscle. And it would take
Yes.
years to do it. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. No one wants to hear pushing away from the table and focusing on nutrition is how you get that nice lean body and you
Mhm.
get those muscles to show. So if I took my sweater off right now, I am not muscular right now. You can't see it because women have an extra layer of fat
Mhm.
that sits right here under the skin. It's used for warmth, it's used to nourish the baby. We naturally have more fat than men, and it's intentional. Our hormones do that to us. So you actually have to get yourself in a state where you're building muscle at a surplus. So that
Mhm.
it's hard to do. It's not easy to build muscle like
Oh,
that.
absolutely. And I mean, if I were to take my sweater off too, I mean, I usually put around 10 to 15 pounds on every winter, but that's just because, I'm up in Minnesota and when it gets to be like negative 20 degrees, I mean, you need to have that little extra layer of fat to sort of help absorb the heat. But no, I got to ask that since you said that you're from New Orleans, are you a football fan at all?
Oh yes, the Saints are killing it. I watched the game day before yesterday, and it was a tough game. I was
Uh-huh.
very nervous. So,
Well, I got to ask, being from Minnesota though, how did you take the loss last year against the Vikings in the playoffs?
anytime we lose in the playoffs, it's really bad because really the season doesn't matter. The only
Mhm.
thing that matters is playoffs.
Mhm.
So, how did I take the loss? I watched the game. I hung out with my friends, and
Mhm.
afterwards, I was over it. I'm not really the harp on it kind of person. I'm
Yeah.
more of the people person. I like the atmosphere. I like to
Mhm.
hang out and watch the game, but you're not going to feel my feelings get hurt because of a football game. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was not excited, but I think you learn from all that. And
Oh, yeah.
this year,
Yep.
we'll see what we're gonna do. So
I
I'm
was,
excited.
I was I was gonna say the Vikings look like they're probably gonna might end up playing at New Orleans, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I mean that was just yeah, that was just a crazy game last year. But now getting back to the bodybuilding, I mean I always like to say I'm a very pale individual myself. I mean being from the Upper Midwest where you're gonna get very pale. What was that experience like for you putting that tan on? And just see, like everyone always says, like they see muscles that they never even knew that they had. Everything really seems to pop out. What is that feeling like for you when you put on all that tan?
So I love getting the tan. The first night is very nice because you put on your clothes and all of a sudden you're looking good. They say that the more tan you are, the less fat that you
Mhm.
look, right? So you'll hear girls say that all the time. Oh, I need a tan in order to look skinnier. I think that's kind of a myth. I think the tan skin just looks a little better. But the first coat of tan, when it goes on, you put your suit on and you're feeling like $1,000,000. When the second coat comes on the next day, when you get your next coat, you know that you're ready to rock and roll. But the main thing is you're making sure it doesn't run. So you literally, when you're getting your tan, you gotta kind of stay in certain
Mhm.
ways. You gotta keep everything nice and dry. You'll get lines under your arms and your knees, And then for females, and we go to the restroom, we have to be very careful so
Yep.
there's no water lines. So
Mhm.
the tan it's nice. It's a nice look. It makes you look nice, but you have to be very careful with it. If you get wet at all, if you spill some water on you, it
Mhm.
runs everywhere, and then you look strange. You got to get water lines down your legs.
Yep.
So the tanning is always funny because you watch the girls backstage, and a lot of them are all intense. I just kind of go with the flow, a
Mhm.
little more laid back. So
Oh yeah, and that's I think the way that you have to be, and then also I mean you guys have been like you said before, you basically have to be like a statue the whole rest of the day, whatever. You can't touch anything, you can't really sit on anything. It's just you really just have to make sure like I'm not touching anything, nothing's touching me. Yeah, it's one of
so
those things.
you can't wear deodorant when you
Yep.
do the tanning. So
That's why I always like to say people do not go backstage at one of these shows. You might not like what you smell.
well, especially the 2-day shows. Now, the
Yeah.
national show goes from Friday to
Mhm.
Saturday, and you have an option whether you're going to shower and pay for a retan or not.
Mhm.
Most people don't spend the extra money to take the shower. So by Saturday evening, with 2 days of no deodorant, it is ripe. It
Yep.
is an interesting smell. People are like, "Oh, I love the smell of tan." I'm like, "That's not tan, sweetie. That's body." You know.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, I always love to ask this question. I mean, there's always with everyone, they're going to have one body part that, just really just naturally is just already built and just genetically you won't have to train as much. I mean, I know you said that your legs were kind of already like that, but then you always have one body part that really just struggles and you sort of have to overtrain to get it to catch up with everything else. What are those body parts for you?
Well, for me, it's been hamstrings. So, coming from more of a bodybuilding type environment, I never really had to focus on hamstrings. I had the big quads. So, I would say that was already pretty much developed. I was trying to get those smaller, but the hamstrings for me in that tie in was very difficult to do. And I worked very hard this year. I would probably train glutes. Any day I'm not sore, I'm training glutes. It's pretty much a given. My upper body really comes second right now because I was trying to develop those hamstrings in the off season. I'm training glutes and hamstrings, every other day, maybe every day if I'm not sore, but they're very important. And I had to work really hard, even down to my cardio. So I changed my cardio routine in order to develop my hamstrings and glutes as well. So instead of going for a run like I would last season to help bring down my quads and lean out my legs, this season I was walking on an incline. So put my incline all the way to 15 and walking, which pulls on your hamstrings. And actually, it's a nice stretch if you've been working them out hard. And then I love the stair stepper. So for all those ladies out there who don't like the stair stepper, it is my favorite. So I like to get on the stair stepper and just go after it, give it a really good effort, get my heart rate up, and call it a day.
And you look at her Instagram, it totally works, everyone. So the stair stepper, you gotta get on that. I mean, even if you don't like it, the results that it gives you will be something that you'll like in the end. But I mean, one of my favorite questions to ask is because I ask this question for all of my bands that I have on, all of my health and fitness guests, is what is that feeling like for you when you've dieted down and you've went through sometimes preps that go on for months upon months on end. What is that feeling like for you when you finally get to step on stage and show off all of that hard work that you've just been training for months upon months for?
Oh, it's exhilarating. At nationals, you get 10 seconds, 15 seconds to do your routine. They bring you out and you hit your front, your back routine, and you go back. So the second you go out there, you just have to say in your head, like, this is your time to shine. This is the reward. This is what you get, and show them what you've been working so hard for, because no one's going to do it for you. And today it's so competitive because the physiques are so good that really they're looking for the attitude you bring to the stage, the sass. How comfortable are you walking in those heels? How positive are you with your body? How are your movements? Are they real robotic, or do they flow naturally? Do you look natural? So I think that's really important. Focusing on posing is something that I'm really going to be working on this year, bringing into the stage in 2019, because I'm like, plan, budget, execute. Just do it. Plan, budget, execute. I'm very good at technique. In the gym, techniques are easy, but when you get to a posing routine, you may have a routine, but it's like that plan, budget, execute, and that counting and that jittery look doesn't look good. You want it to be natural. You want to flow. You want to look feminine. So bikini is a lot different than the other divisions because it's not a turn, stop, and pose.
Yep.
I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's more fluid. It needs to come natural, and that's what they're really looking for. And that's what we did differently in nationals this year. I had my hair curled for one show. I did it straight for the next show because every time I saw my coach, my hair was straight, and he said, "Is that your normal look?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You just seem more comfortable, like you're not dressed up. You seem like you're natural." So we wore it straight for nationals, and it worked. I'm like, I can't believe I just paid to get my hair done because I didn't know that going into nationals. Now all bikini girls pay for hair and makeup normally, unless they're good at it. Which being a chemical engineer and working in a hard hat and steel toe boots, I wear Nomex FRCs all day. I don't fix my hair. I don't do my makeup. So those are two things that I'm not good at. I think everyone has their pluses and minuses. So I don't know how to do that stuff. So I always let someone do it for me. Once you're there, it's nice to get pampered a little, just kind of like going to spa day. It's fun on show day to have someone come in and do your hair and do your makeup and put on the fake eyelashes, which I don't even own a pair, and I have no idea how to put them on, But it's just nice because on stage, you kind of look put together. So you have this nice fancy bathing suit, these nice fancy heels, a nice expensive tan, and then if you come with your makeup looks bad because you're not good at doing it or you didn't want to spend the extra money at doing it, then your package isn't together. You really want the whole package. So I think makeup and hair is very important, especially in bikini. And the other And the other ones, I'm sure it is just as much as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, it's all part of the presentation that you're presenting. That I mean, it all definitely adds up to the same result. But now, I mean, we get to some of our fun questions. Now, what is your go-to post-show meal?
Sushi.
Ooh,
I'd like to kill some
yeah.
sushi. So during prep, I eat sushi, but I eat like the tuna sashimi, and I may eat some white rice or whatever. So I love to go get like the fancy rolls with that crab stuff that I think
Mm-hmm.
has got mayonnaise in it. I'm pretty sure, and avocado. Just really load up the avocado, load up the tuna, and then it's not really post show, but the next morning I want a killer breakfast spread.
Mm-hmm.
Like breakfast for some reason, I don't know. It's just my thing. I guess because for breakfast you've been eating, some people have protein shakes, some people have eggs, egg whites. You've been eating the same routine for so long. I really like to wake up the next morning and just have a breakfast that brings it all to me. But I don't really go after the sweets a lot. Your body will react a lot to the sweets. You haven't had it for a long time, so if you shock it with sweets,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to get jittery or kind of go in a state of like a coma where you want to go to sleep. So post show, you got the tan, you got the makeup, you got the hair. Some people, it's time to go out. I want to go dancing. I'm gonna go have a good time. You eat a big meal and your body
Mm-hmm.
just kind of goes into like a shock. So for me, it's drinking some water, having some sushi, and really eating some of the foods that you haven't been able to eat for a long time.
Yeah, and now, I mean, you mentioned it before, but you're a chemical engineer. That's definitely not one of the professions that a lot of people expect for female bodybuilders when they ask them, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" Do you find that it's very shocking for a lot of people when you do tell them what your job is?
Yeah, it's funny, because I used to, when I was in my heyday,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I'll give you 5 chances to guess what I'm doing or what I do for a living, or you have to buy me a shot. And it'd always be like a teacher, a nurse, and all this,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no. So being a chemical engineer, I'm in a male environment
Mm-hmm.
most of the time. So I don't work around a lot of females or anything like that. But I think coming into it, the fitness aspect is a hobby of mine. It's never a job. It's never going to be something where I'm promoting a lot of sponsorships, because with my personal life and my job, I just don't have time for it. So if you ask me what I do for a living, fitness and bikini would probably never ever come up,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm a mom full time, like it takes all my time. I work at an oil and gas chemical plant. Like we have this shutdown going on. I have this major capital project going on. The fitness part is just something I do to give me some time to myself to think, right? A lot of times I'm thinking about work. So I'm on my notes and I'm putting down, what I need to have a meeting on, what I need to order, what I need to do here. Where is gymnastics? What time's gymnastics? What snack day it is? So the gym is my time to like not have the mommy, and to have the work people who are also kind of like mommy, because I've been there so long now. You're in like a leadership role, so you're constantly trying to mentor the younger people. So people are always coming to you. So it's like you're always doing for other people. The gym is a time where I get my time. I get to do what I want to do, and no one is in my zone. So I mean, I'm really in a bubble
Mm-hmm.
at the gym. So but the chemical engineer part, and I have my master's, my MBA. I got that just to help me with my career and because my company would pay for it. And then I also have real estate properties. So I have about 4 rental properties. I wound up buying a house when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And when I moved from Alabama to New Orleans, I kept that house and started writing off on my taxes. Then I bought another house, a duplex down in the Garden District. So I was getting rent on one side. I was paying my mortgage on the other side. So then I started living there, met my husband now, moved in with him. So then I had another rental. So then me and my husband bought a new house, built a new house. You have another rental. So it's not that I'm meant to be a landlord, but I'm a landlord because it helps us on our taxes and because it brings in some additional income. So.
Yeah. And finally, I was gonna say, like, we've had, you're gonna be like our 160th guest, I think, when this finally gets published. But I mean, we've had about 50 or 60 guests from the South, and you're like our third person that's actually had a real Southern accent that we've had come on. We've had so many people where I'm like, where they talk, they're from like Mississippi or Alabama, and I'm like, oh, well, where are you originally from? They're like, oh, from Michigan or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, well, I was gonna say, we had one guy from the backwoods of Mississippi where he was in a band with about 4 other guys where I finally told him, I was like, we might have to just subtitle you because I cannot understand a word that you were saying. Like, he was like pure Deliverance accent where, I was like, I can't understand a word that this guy's saying. But yeah, it's nice to finally have a different accent on the show because, like, I've guests from Canada and from the UK, but that's a different accent. But I always like that little Southern accent that,
It's funny because I don't think I have an accent at all. I'm from Alabama, but I live in New Orleans. I'm kind of a transplant. So I guess you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, well, you don't have like a big one, but you have definitely traces of it where you can just kind of tell sometimes. Where believe me, I have a Minnesota accent too, so everything with the O's and everything like that, it's very very Fargo-ish. But yeah, I mean that's definitely what you get. But it says that you're a Romania missionary. What does that exactly mean, and how'd you get into that?
It's funny you ask. So, my husband's an avid hunter.
Hmm.
So what that means is that he goes on long hunting trips in October, November, December, some in January, for a week at a time here, a week at a time here. He hunts Kansas, he hunts Illinois, he hunts Missouri. We used to have a hunting camp in Alabama, but he was going out of town so much to the other places that we couldn't keep up with the Alabama camp. And when we would go there, he didn't see as many deer or as big as deer as he did up north. So he wanted to hunt up north. Well, what was happening, I found out in 2016, 2016, I'd gotten an extra week of vacation at work. So now I have 4 weeks of vacation. And when I got to the end of the year, I still had 3 weeks of vacation and no one to vacate with me, right? So here I am with all this vacation and I'm not doing anything. So that next January, I didn't realize it there, but the next January I had started a new church here in New Orleans, and they had a huge mission department, and I filled out like a survey. It's about your gifts, your spiritual gifts. And it's like, when it came out at the end, it said that it was doing missionary work. And I'm like, that's strange. I never thought I was a missionary, but it said that my spiritual gifts is missionary work. So I said, okay. And I said, well, what do you guys do? Like, what do you do? Can I just make a donation or what? So I was making a donation, and they were like, you should come to Romania. And I was like, well, what do you do in Romania? Because mission trip to go build a house or something like that, like, I'm not really good with my tools. I'm more of like a manager.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you how to do something, but I don't actually do it. And then so the build a home or Habitat for Humanity like type mission work's really not my thing. I'm not climbing a ladder and putting on a building.
Yep.
I do wear a hard hat, but I mean, I'm an engineer. I'm kind of a nerd, so I'll do some calculations, but that's about it. Then I had also looked at some of the Africa ones that they had done, but they were medical related. So I'm like, blood, guts, gore, diseases. Nah, pump the brakes.
Yep.
Well, they were telling me about the Romania one. It was going to basically like a foster home or to a place where they had children who were in a placement center. And a placement center is children where their parents bring them in and the country basically accepts them in and takes care of them. So going to a placement center and just spending time with them and doing like a vacation Bible school. So I was like, this is right up my alley. Like, I love kids. Like, I have kids. I love other people's kids. I love a cute little baby. Like, this is up my alley. I can relate to kids. And they told me the price of it. And basically, I was able to afford it. So I went on my first mission trip in 2017 to Romania. And I was completely changed in Romania. So if you go from the U.S. and from where we are, and an area where you kind of have everything you need, and then you have everything you want, and then you still have more, that you waste and spend. To go there and just see how these children wanted to be loved on and hugged and touched and talked to, and they just want your attention and your love, and they're looking for something to hold on to and to grasp. So what you find over there is what we're trying to share is, basically the love of Jesus, and tell you, hey, there's someone up above who is stronger and mightier, and they love you. And even when I'm gone 10 days from now, he will still be here for you. So you can have conversations with him. You can talk to him. You can be involved, So we're trying to go over there and you share your love with them and share your passion for Jesus. And what they see is there's this person from the U.S. who comes all the way over here to tell me about Jesus. Jesus must be a very important person, Whoever this guy is, he must be pretty important for all these 50 to 60 missionaries to come over here and tell me about it. I wound up meeting a lot of new friends. So we have translators that work with us. And because in Romania, they speak Romanian. And obviously, we don't have to learn Romanian. So you walk around with translators. And what you find out is that the translators are learning too. They're learning about Jesus. They're building in this relationship with God. They're meeting each other, and they actually become friends. And then they all have the social media just like we do. So we've all connected on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And throughout the year, you communicate with them, and then they look forward for you to come. So in 2018, I thought I was going to go. In November of 2017, I said, yes, I'm going next year, guaranteed. Well, then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I said, and I had already paid like 50% down payment or whatever.
Wow.
I said, pump the brakes. I'm not going to be able to go. Like, I don't know what to tell you. What do you do with my money? And they're like, well, we haven't bought tickets yet, so we'll just kind of save it for the next year. I was like, oh, that's great. And then in April, when I had the miscarriage, 2 weeks later, I had people kind of found out about it naturally because you're not getting any bigger. All of a sudden, like, you're getting smaller. So people don't know what to say. It's a very awkward situation just because people already knew. I think that if you keep it in and don't tell people, then it's a little bit different. At least it's private. But because people already knew, it was real awkward. So I went to church and I said, I really need to go to Romania. And this is like a month out from our Romania trip. And they're like, oh, I don't know. The planning's kind of already done. Like, I don't know if we're still a spot. And I was like, please, like, I need these children just as much as they need me. So I went to Romania this year for my second year in a row. And it was a different experience because I was in a different place in my life. I was really struggling this year. And the kids actually helped me a lot. So right when I came back from Romania, 2 weeks later is when I emailed Ryan, and said, something's got to change. I have to get over this. So it went really well, but the children there are amazing. And if you ever go to another country and you're able to not do a tour, but actually spend time with the people in the community and be able to give back, it's a life-changing experience, whether it's with a church or with, they have like some trekking for kids activities. If you ever have an opportunity to give back, I definitely suggest, it doesn't have to be a mission trip, but a trip overseas or trip out of your comfort zone, really, to where you have to stop and give up some of the things that you're used to having, the internet, the TV, the language, right? People to communicate with. So I think it's a great experience for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, the only other country I've been to is Canada, and that doesn't count. That does. When you're talking about other countries, I mean, Canada doesn't really
Unless
count.
you speak French.
Well, yeah, that too. I wanted to go to Quebec in those regions, but I ended up not going to. But yeah. So I've been there, and then I'm
beautiful though. So.
Oh yeah, and I've been, and either this summer or next summer, I'm going to go to Norway and visit my family that I have there. So that would be nice. So some of my great grandparents or great uncles that I have over there that I've never met, that would be a really cool experience. So yeah, I'm definitely planning that. But now, I mean, these are two of my favorite questions that I love to ask every guest that I have on, especially for health and fitness. I mean, for me personally, when I went to college and started to get bigger and stronger, the one negative thing for me was that you're going to get asked to move a lot of people's furniture. You're going to get asked to open a lot of pickle jars. I mean, I'm still at home with my parents for the next few months, and every time they come home with groceries, I mean, being the nice son that I am, I carry it all in for them. But do you find that just because of the way that you look, especially when you're in season, that people just assume that you can do favors for them?
Oh, yeah. Lifting boxes and, oh, come on, you work out every day. You're cleaning this much. You should be able to lift this. And it's like, nah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to move couches and things like that for you. But yeah, it happens. People think you're stronger than you are, but when you tell them, hey, it's just diet, I really only lift like 10-pound dumbbells, like, pump the brakes. My shoulders, like, I literally do 5-pound exercises when I get up on my things. Like, I can't lift any more than you can, but I think it's fun though. I think when you're in season, people do recognize a lot more that you're leaner and that you're on a cut, and you start to see the results pay off. But yeah, I think in general, because I work out, when people do need something moved, I do always try to help out,
Oh yeah, I do too. I mean, it's just like last summer with me, where it was every other weekend. People just text me, be like, "Oh, hey Ryan, I'm moving out of my parents' house. Can you help me like with this couch or chair?" And also, I'm 6'3", so that's just if I didn't have any muscle at all, people would ask me anyway. Just because if they saw me walking down the street, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this guy could definitely help me out." So yeah, it's a double-edged sword for me. But now, probably my favorite question to ask, and again, I say this every time, it's a multi-million-dollar idea for everyone out there. When it comes to clothes for fit women, your clothing options can be limited. I always like to say, if you have big shoulders, I mean, dresses sometimes aren't your best friend. Jeans are another thing that we hear of all the time where it can be a struggle. And I mean, you working like a normal job, some of these people are lucky and they get to be like personal trainers, so they don't have to worry about it as much. But having a normal job, what are some ways that you sort of compensate for the fact that your clothing options can be limited?
Well, my Nomex for work is definitely pretty small. I always wear clothes underneath it. So if I lean over and you see a gap in the back in my pants, because they're not made to fit tiny waist people, then I always have clothes on underneath it. And now with a high-waisted pants, you can't really see anything. But I love the Freddie store pants. They're like stretchy, but then they actually have this piece of what's it called? Almost like rubber around the edges and along the butt, and they keep it up. They keep it sitting on your waist. So I really like the Freddie store, and I'm bad about wearing the jeggings because those always seem to at least stay up. I haven't worn jeans in 2 years because when I wear them, as soon as I walk around, they're like saggy. They don't stay on you. I don't know if the weight of the material is too heavy or, like you said, your waist gets too small.
Yeah, like I always said, for the clothing thing, it's a multi-million-dollar idea. Everyone definitely get on that. So now we go to our audience favorite, and my personal favorite part of the podcast, where we're going to ask, Christine here about a dozen or so questions and see how she stacks up to all the other health and fit guests that we've had on the show. So for our first question, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
Ooh, I don't know about song, but I like on Pandora I listen to Yin Yang Twins. So I kind of like old school hip
Mm-hmm.
hop. I'm not into the new stuff,
Yep.
so anything that's like shake your
Mm-hmm.
head.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
I mean,
any old school like Spring Break 2005, 2004.
mhm.
When I was in high school, maybe 2002. Anything old school
Yeah,
makes me happy. But I don't know the new music. If I go to a bar today and if they play the new music, I'm like, I don't even know who this is. I have no clue.
absolutely. I mean, I'm more of an old school, like I like the 80s or 90s music, especially when I'm working out, where I definitely got to have that.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, Dr. Dre.
Oh, yep.
Dr. Dre.
Yep, that's a good one too. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could work out with any celebrity, who would it be?
Hmm. Probably like a Kate Hudson.
Oh, yep.
She just like is so funny. Maybe I liked Goldie Hawn, so I like Kate Hudson,
Mhm.
But How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, she kind of won me over, and I'd love to work out with her because she started her own fitness line. Isn't she in the Fabletics? I think
She might be, yeah.
fitness clothes.
Well, and plus her dad is one of my favorite actors of all time, Kurt Russell. So that's
Yeah.
that's a win right there in and of itself. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good choice. Thank you for not saying Dwayne the Rock Johnson, because we get that answer like 95% of the time. So it almost got to a point where I was going to say, other than Dwayne the Rock Johnson, if you could work out with any other celebrity, who would it be? I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous how many times we get that. But
Yeah, I
now,
don't know that I would work out with a male.
yeah.
I think, especially like a male who's super strong. I feel like they
I was
should
gonna
be
say,
like,
yeah, seeing him bench.
and
Yeah, I
I'd
was
be
gonna say,
like,
like seeing him bench like 400 pounds. You're probably like, yeah, can I work out with someone else now, please, or
yeah,
something like that.
I don't lift over 100 pounds,
Yeah,
so
well,
I'll be
yeah,
brave.
and that's a good rule to live by, because I mean, you can get injured the more heavy you lift. So if you're just going for that aesthetic look, which a lot of people are, I mean, yeah, it's all about just the repetitions and just getting the muscles torn. They're just tearing the muscles and just making sure that you can build them back up. Absolutely. So now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could train any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh man. Well, I'm not a personal trainer, so
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't have the patience to train any celebrities because they would really make me angry.
Mhm.
Maybe like a Mel Robbins. So I don't know if you consider her a celebrity, but
Yeah.
to me, she like has got the best motivational message, and I think I would learn a lot from her. Kind of just being a mentor. I could give back my fitness knowledge, but she's not really a fitness buff,
Mhm.
but she is into a fit lifestyle. So I'm really impressed with what she's doing, and as far as motivational speaking for the community in general. So.
Oh, absolutely. And now, what is one item that you always need to have in your fridge?
um, Well, I don't know about my fridge, but in my freezer, I already always have to have deer meat, deer sausage.
Ooh.
So, my husband, like I said, is a hunter. So if
Yep.
you're a hunter, you better kill some deer, and you better put the meat in the freezer. So we have 2 deep freeze, and I always have to have deer meat in the refrigerator.
Mhm.
It's my go-to. I'll cook any kind of meal with deer meat that you can think of, and
Mhm.
then if I'm feeling like a cheat meal, some people may like go to sweets, but I would go to like my deer sausage. So he makes jalapeno and
Mhm.
cheddar sausage, and we make a green onion sausage. So I just throw it in a bowl of hot water for 5 minutes
Mhm.
and saute it with some onions. And I mean, it's the best meal.
Mhm.
It's not on my meal plan,
Mhm.
granted, because it does have some pork fat in it, but
Mhm.
it's good.
Oh yeah, I mean, venison is one of my favorite meats to eat. I mean, so my grandpa and my dad grew up in southern Minnesota, and my grandpa ran a meat processing plant, basically.
Okay.
So they would make all the venison. Whenever we'd go and visit him when I was younger, he'd have a whole big old thing of venison for us to basically eat. Yeah, it's one of the best things to eat. I haven't had it in a long time, so I definitely got to have it now. I mean, ever since my grandpa passed away like 7 or 8 years ago, I haven't had any, but yeah, I definitely got to go back and have some. awesome. And just, I always like to tell this funny story then for all the people that we have on that either do hunting or into that, just to show how the times have changed from when my dad grew up in the late 70s when he was in high school to now. He grew up in a small town of about 200 people, but then he went to school in a town of about 2,000 people. So, and it's only like a 5-minute drive for him. But just to show how different things were, there would be kids who would bring, I mean, they'd go hunting early on in the day and then they'd go hunting after school. So they would pull up with their trucks with their rifles and their shotguns in the back of their car. Like they wouldn't even be locked. They would just be like in the back of their truck, just open for anyone. So, I mean, the school would let them. The school didn't care. So you would have about 4 or 5 different trucks with just loaded with rifles and guns in the parking lot of a high school, and no one would even care about it. So just to show how different things were. But yeah, I always
That's the same way. That's the same way with us. We'll have gun racks, and they'll be just sitting. The guns are just sitting in the car. So, you know, we used to go night shine and things like that. Was my crazy days. You know, I lived on a dirt road growing up with 4 horses. So, yeah, that's a big thing around here.
Oh yeah, and then also like some kids would ride horse.
Cow tipping is a big
one. Yep. Yeah,
I mud road riding, like taking your truck down an old dirt road and tearing the road up. That was always a fun thing to do.
See, it's a complete different because I'm a complete city person where I was born in a town of 80,000 where I grew up. I mean, where Mall of America is the biggest mall in the country is where I grew up. So I mean, it's a complete different one. Whenever we'd go back and visit my grandma and grandpa, I mean, it's just such a different lifestyle. But yeah, I mean, and even my dad said too, there'd be like kids that would ride 2 or 3 kids would ride horses to school and then they'd go out and feed them during lunchtime. Go out and give them like a pill, and I was like, it's just so foreign to me because everyone. I mean, and I went to one of the more affluent schools in the state where parents would buy their kids like BMWs and they drive up to school and it'd be like, okay, that's completely different. But now, what is one thing that people who follow you on Instagram would be surprised to know about you if they met you in person?
Probably that I'm a chemical engineer. I don't post much about my work, so. And then what I do from a management perspective. So I'm in more of a leadership role and things like that. So that would probably surprise people the most just because I don't post about that a lot on there.
Do you find that it's a little bit tougher because a lot of people, I mean, there's so many stereotypes, especially with women in higher up positions where a lot of people just assume like guys can tend to get away with a lot more like aggressive things when they're being manager where they can like sort of, you know, when a woman does it, they might just be perceived as a little bit crazy. But when a guy does it, they just assume like, oh, this guy's a go-getter. This guy really, really cares. Have you found that's happened to you ever?
It's funny you say that. You know, at the end of the year, you get feedback and things like that. And some of my feedback this year is that people love me as a person, but they hate to work with me because I am plan, budget, execute, you know, get this job done. Let's do this. And I think that it's difficult coming from a woman. I think men are used to being told what to do by men managers. But when it comes from a female, it's like, oh, she's my wife. She's nagging me.
Yeah.
So I do think it's difficult, but I think that people are going to have to get used to it because it's going to continue to happen that way. And, you know, they're always looking for diversity in leadership roles. And unfortunately, a female is considered a minority. So they're going to continue to promote females throughout the ranks in industry. So it's coming, but I think it's just tough for people to swallow.
It's just like any other period in history where things have started to change. I mean, there's going to be some backdraws at first, but eventually it's going to take. I mean, I'm a manager at UPS where I work. I'm the director of air shipping, so I mean, I get a lot of that. Where you know, it was hard for me at first. I'm only 24, so I mean, it was hard for me at first to sort of realize how to treat people when you're a manager as opposed to doing all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment, but I'm starting to pick it up where I like doing what I'm doing. I mean, and now that our peak season is going to be over after this week, I can finally have some time off. I mean, I was getting sick of those 60-hour work weeks, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, chemical engineering, that's something that I would never, ever even dream of because it's just too much math. It's too much thinking for me personally.
I always tell people you put 4 years worth of effort, but you get like a lifelong of benefits of it. With a chemical engineering degree, you could do anything. You could go be a teacher. You could go into law enforcement. You could go into the medical industry. So it just leaves you a lot of flexibility in order to do what you want. And all the degree does is tell people that you're capable of learning, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Whatever industry you go into, they don't teach you that industry, right? It's so broad that what I learned in school, I don't even apply at work. I use completely different techniques at work. And, it just says that you're capable of learning.
Yeah. I mean, I majored in business, and I haven't used that once at my managing job at all. And then I minored in history, which I was gonna major in history, but I never wanted to be a teacher, so that's the only thing you can really do with
Right.
a history degree. So yeah,
Unless you get like a doctorate or something.
yeah, unless that, or you want, or like be like, or unless you want to do like a paleontology or like anything like that, where you just need to have like a history background too. But yeah, that was nothing that I was really interested in. But now, I mean, what is one thing that you would change about the sport of bodybuilding if you had the all knowing power to do so?
I'd probably make some more divisions. So
Mhm.
I was looking at the fitness division just because I'm a little wider in the waist. I think the bikini division has gotten so competitive, but they've kind of lost the. If you go back 5 years, the bikini division was a lot softer.
Mhm.
They were looking at different things. There was different posing, so I'd probably add another division in there, somewhere in between figure and bikini,
Mhm.
where the posing is still kind of like the bikini, where it's not so I guess, rigid and structured. But maybe girls with a little bit wider waist could be successful because my waist isn't teeny tiny like the rest of the bikini competitors. I'm a little more muscular, but I'm a little wider
Mhm.
down low. But I would like to stay in the bikini division because I like the look of bikini. So
I was gonna say
I'd
yeah.
probably make another division,
I was gonna
and
say
that.
yeah, because if you were to go up to physique, you're gonna have to put on like 10-15 pounds of muscle just to even.
Well, you have
Yeah.
figure then physique, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that's just another level. But what I think
Yeah.
they're missing is another level on the lower end.
Yep.
So I'm the
Absolutely.
lowest at bikini.
Mhm.
So I think there can be maybe a bikini soft and a bikini hard. I
Yeah.
don't know what you call it, but I do think that bikini soft should still be there where you don't have to have the mature muscle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I totally agree with that. There needs to be, a little more divisions because, like you said, I mean, there's so many different body types of people where it's just, it's, some people then do have to like really make big changes to their body just to even fit into a division. So if you could have more divisions, then people might not have to go through as drastic of changes as, because there's some people that, I mean, they work out years upon years on end before they can even compete, even though they're already in good shape to begin with, just because they're trying to get their body to like, oh, I need to put on those 10 pounds of muscle or, oh, I need to lose this
Right.
amount just so I can compete. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. But now, what is the last TV show that you binge watched?
Price is Right this
Price is
morning since
Right.
I'm off work.
Yep.
I had to turn on Price is Right because I'm obsessed with that show. I don't know if it's the guessing the prices
Hmm.
or the dinging bells or the it reminds me of growing up, but it's definitely Price is Right. I recorded on my DVR. So
That is everyone's stay-at-home sick day when they were young growing up. That's the ultimate thing that you watch. I mean, everyone watched. I love that. And I was actually at a taping once. I got to go to a taping and sit in the audience. That was a lot of fun. I
yeah,
didn't get
I
called
want
up
to
or
do that.
anything. I was disappointed, but yeah, it
I'll
was.
send you deer sausage and you send me tickets to go to the Price is Right
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's. I absolutely enjoyed doing that. But now, what is your favorite TV show of all time?
show.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's The Voice, but I mean, if you have to go back into all time, like growing up, it was Saved by the Bell because every morning when
Yep.
I woke up, I
Hmm.
was watching Saved by the Bell. So if you're talking about a show where like reminds me of my childhood and grow up, it was definitely Zach and Tiffany, and that was my gang when I was
Hmm.
growing up. But if it's a show right now, it's The Voice
Yep.
because I'm obsessed with The
Yeah.
Voice.
Saved by the Bell. I mean, that's also one of my favorite ones. I mean, that's oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was on Netflix, so I started watching it when I was about like like 16, 17. But yeah, it was that's a great show and just a Kelly Kapowski appreciation thing too. I mean, she's yeah. Definitely one of the young crushes that I had in my life. Well,
Yeah.
absolutely 100%. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I love that show absolutely. But now, what is a guilty pleasure movie that you enjoy?
Mm, I'm more of an action movie, so probably
Yeah.
like The Gladiator
Yep.
or Braveheart. We watched Braveheart the other night.
Oh, that's a good
I did
one.
not realize how long that movie is.
Yep.
So it started at like 5 o'clock, and with commercials, did not end till like 10.
Yeah. It's a very long, yeah, but it is a great movie. But I can say from a historical standpoint, it is one of the most historically inaccurate movies of all time. Like, I'll give you
So
an
you're a history buff. I forgot.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, here's the one problem with that though is that they never wore kilts at that point in history. They didn't start wearing kilts until 300 years after that movie. So literally, I always like to make the comparison, and someone else made it for me. That would be like making a movie about the American Revolution and having George Washington and all those guys in tuxedos. instead of what
It
they
would
were
look
wearing.
nice though.
Yeah, that would be nice though. But I always like to say, but yeah, other than that, I mean, it is a great movie though. That's one of my favorites too. And did you hear that they are making a second Gladiator right now?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Russell Crowe's returning and they're coming back. Yeah, it's a second Gladiator, so it's coming out in about a year. So
I'll
yeah,
have to go see
that
that in the
looks.
theater.
Yeah, that's gonna be. But for me, I mean, all my guy friends again, close your ears. Never want you to hear this, but The Princess Bride is my guilty pleasure movie. I know most people. I mean, I say that a lot of people are like, oh,
That's the
I
one
don't know.
show that I let my daughter watch, and
Mhm.
she's like 4, and I don't let them watch many
It's my
like
guilty
adult
pleasure.
people movies.
It's my guilty. That's my ultimate date night movie. I mean, that's my ultimate. I mean, I love that movie. I was writing my thesis paper in college, and it came on, and I stopped writing my thesis for 2 hours so I could watch it.
Perfect.
That's dedication. But now, what is one thing that if you were to be able to go back and talk to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice you would give her?
Probably listen to my parents.
Yep.
So I was a pretty stubborn 18-year-old. I
Yep.
thought I knew everything. I went to college at 17 and moved out to go play house and live with my boyfriend
Mhm.
who had a kid. So that probably wasn't the best decision. So probably listen to my parents and not talk back and be
Mhm.
so mean, because you find out, you realize later on in life that they're the only people that ever care about you
Yep.
and will always be there for you. But it takes a good 5 to 10 years of messing up on your own before you realize the only people who are ever going to be there for you or love you unconditionally is your parents.
Yep, I was messing up a little bit when I was about 20, 21, and then I came back and realized, yep, that's absolutely true. Your family is basically the only people. I mean, they may just be by order of birth, they may be sort of, stuck with you, but yeah, they do end up caring about you more than anyone else. Excuse me, more than anyone else. Yeah, 100%. But now for our last question in the questionnaire part. What is your favorite fashion trend of all time and least favorite fashion trend of all time?
My favorite fashion trend of all time, probably crop tops.
Ooh,
Pretty much a
yes.
top kind of girl
Mhm.
with the cut off jean shorts.
I was going to see
Like
being from the South, I was going to guess that's probably your
like
answer.
Dukes
Yep.
of Hazzard,
Yep.
like the cut off jean shorts with the crop tops, probably still my favorite. It's my go-to outfit if I don't know what to wear.
Mhm.
I'm going with a crop top, cut off jean shorts.
Mhm.
The worst is probably gauchos. Do you remember those pants that like were
Yes.
straight and came out at the bottom
Oh,
and then like rolled at the top?
they're even worse than bell-bottom jeans. Yeah.
They are, because they don't even go all the way down and make your legs look long. They like stop and you just look frumpy. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know what was that. Now I did have a lot of pairs of them, and I wore them like a champ because they
Yep.
were comfortable, but they just are not figure flattering.
Oh,
So to say.
absolutely. I mean, my favorite is got to be flannel, just because going into the cold climate, it's very, very comfortable, and it can look nice depending on how you present it. But my least favorite, I mean, my dad in the late '90s used to rock a fanny pack sometimes, so that's
Yeah.
my ugh.
Oh,
Now,
so
girls, no,
you wouldn't like me in my fanny
No,
pack,
no,
is
no,
what
no, no, no. So here's the difference. Girls can rock a fanny pack 100%, but guys, especially my dad was not, the most, in shape person, especially back then. So it's like guys, I mean, guys, I'm sorry, no fanny packs, but girls can absolutely rock a fanny pack. But yeah, guys, that's my one thing. Guys, absolutely no
you.
fanny packs. Yeah, that's just one of my,
Yeah.
that's just what
Don't
I.
don't go overseas because you see a lot of them
Oh,
overseas.
oh yeah, yeah. That's well, and that's the thing with overseas. They get our fashion trends like 10, 15 years later. So yeah, they're probably still going to be, who knows when, all of the stuff that we've been talking about are eventually going to make it over there.
Right.
You never know. But now, I mean, we're done with the questionnaire part, and now before we wrap things up, so like you said, I mean, you just competed in a show a few months ago. Do you have any dates in the future of when you're going to compete next? Is there a date that you're planning on?
Yeah, of course, of course. So Ryan's my coach, and so we've already looked into next year, and I'll probably be at nationals in May in South Carolina, and I'll probably just do national shows going into next year. So my goal next year, like a lot of bikini competitors, is to get my pro card. So I'll be hitting it pretty hard. May, June, July
Yep.
timeframe.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay lean for much longer than that.
Yes.
So I'll be starting prep probably the end of February, something like that. I like to do about a 12-week prep, so I'll just have to line up the dates. I don't think they've published the dates yet for the South Carolina show, but I think it was mid-May last time. And then, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we wish her nothing but the best. And lastly, I mean, we're less than a week away from Christmas. Do you sort of let yourself, indulge a lot during the holidays, or are you sort of one of those people that, you're still like, I still got to be a little bit strict about my food options? What do you mainly like during the holidays? What do you like to do?
No, I eat whatever I want. So I still meal prep. So I still have my meal prep containers made. And so when I get off the phone with you, I'll go eat a meal prep container. But I had a donut this morning, and I don't feel guilty about it. My mom's in town. So what I like to do during the off season is let my hormones get back in check. I really like to stop any supplements. I pretty much stop my supplements altogether, and I like to get my cycle back. So it's really important to me to get my hormones balanced because in order to stay fertile and things like that, so I can have other children, I only like to stay lean for about 6 months out of the year, and then the other 6 months, my off season weight's probably about 20 pounds heavier than show weight. A lot of girls try to stay in that 10-pound range, but I'm more of a 20-pound girl with a lot of muscle and not much body fat. The fat comes off pretty easy. So, yeah, I kind of do what I want to do.
Well, absolutely. And like we have a saying up here, from April to October, you got to look good. But any other month other than that, I mean, you're going to be covered in a sweater anyway, so it really doesn't matter what you look like. So,
yeah, my coach may not agree with me, but and I do have a reverse, but I follow it most of the time, but I don't punish myself, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you guys, Christine, we cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Everyone, go and give her a follow down below. You'll be really inspired to get off the couch and stop eating those Twinkies and adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle. Just taking one look at some of her Instagram posts, and you'll be like, "Yep, I definitely got into shape." And being a mom of two, I mean, that'll be even more embarrassing for all of you guys that are lazy out there. Saying if she can do it, I mean, anyone can do it. It's all just about keeping that positive mindset and just realizing, like you were talking about before, everyone, and especially my generation, is saying, I want it now, I want it yesterday. Where it's just about just realizing it's going to take time. You're not going to be able to get it done, just easy peasy, snap of the fingers. It's going to take you some time. So just realize that. And again, Christine, we cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Really, really great to have you on. And honestly, we wish you nothing but the best in all of your competitions. I think that you will personally do great, but definitely keep us posted for how you do. We'd love to see, all the people that we have on, how they accomplish things later on in life after they're off the podcast. So 100%. And again, you guys, Christine, go give her a follow. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.